Oh. Wow, the white balance is horrible. That's actually something I'm going to talk about. Photography workbooks. Sweet. Okay, if you didn't know this, I used to be a photographer, and I actually used to teach photography too, which is kind of crazy because I was 21 when I wrote a full workshop with a full workbook. And this full class was targeted at moms with cameras, which was the big complaint for every photographer in this very new to me still industry. The mom with the camera. I was this mom with the camera, and I was like, maybe the mom with the camera just needs a little bit of education from somebody who's clearly knows what they're doing. Again, I was like a year, maybe not even that, into my business when I wrote this, so clearly I wasn't someone super knowledgeable, but I was somebody who was just willing to sit with these people and help them instead of complain about them. So when I started designing the class, then I designed this workbook, and then I actually made the class happen. And I met in small rooms with small crowds of women, not men, sorry, they just didn't like me, but I met with these moms and these women who maybe weren't moms but had people in their life that they wanted to capture, not just kids, dogs, parents, family, friends, whatever. I met with these people and I helped teach them about their DSLR camera and just photography in general. Gave them some tips that I thought were helpful, pretty basic, but still not something that they necessarily had access or knowledge about. This was a huge part of my passion with photography, and I still have the written out notes, like pen and paper written out notes for this class before I even got it typed up and transformed it into this workbook and the class and the script that I use to teach the class. So I love it. It's my baby. But as you may know, my husband has a new job and we travel around with him full-time, so I'm not doing photography anymore. So this PDF for this workbook just has been sitting on my computer, and I felt really bad about that because I feel like it's got a lot of stuff in it, and sure, it's stuff you can get on the internet and piece together for yourself. But the real beauty of this class and this workbook was always that I did that piecing together for you of what I thought was the base level things that you should know to start out your journey with your DSLR camera and just photography in general. And then anything past that was great for you to find and have on your own. But here's what I think was the most important things that you should know. And all of that existed in this PDF that sat on my desktop. It sat there for a year and a half since I've taught this class, or actually probably even more. So I decided it was time to make it a freebie. I'm not going to be teaching this class anytime soon. I'd love to do videos on this class and do like full form videos that go with what I'm saying, because I think that is such a great addition into this. But at the same time, I have no time to do that justice right now. So for now, I'm just going to be giving away this PDF. It's free. You can use the link in the description box of this video. Then you just type in your email address and it will send you an email right away where you can get this free PDF and just use it as you would like. Read it all at once, read it at a slower pace, only pull it out when you have your camera in front of you. I don't care. Use it as you want, but this will be a free PDF gift for you. All you have to do is use that link in the description of this video, and I'll also put it in a pinned comment. Just use that link, go there, give me your email address on that form, and then it will be sent to the email address that you have given me. sometimes that can get caught in spam, so if it does, just send me an email and I can get that straightened out. So yeah, it's yours for free. I hope you like it. If you don't, it's free, you weirdo, so don't complain about it. I really do hope you like it. I really hope it helps you. I've admitted to you I do not have the time to do it justice and make videos for every section that I'd like to do and pay it the attention that I know I can one day for free. But for now, what I want to do is do a monthly series on my YouTube, very casual, talking back and forth like this, answering your questions about photography. So every month I'm going to have a little spot on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, you'll need to do that, or you can, I guess, just leave them in the comments of these videos. But I'll have a little area for you to just ask your questions, and then I will try to answer as many as I can in one video, and just do that like every month. And I hope that that can be a good way to kind of help you along in your journey and not just like throw this PDF at you and leave you hanging. So yeah, that's my plan, and I'm going to start that off today by answering 5 questions that I got yesterday, which I think are very, very awesome questions, and I think they will help you with some of the stuff that's in here. And I'm going to flip to these pages that talks about some of these, so you can just kind of see all of this info in action. So let's do that now. The first question comes from another LDP wife who's living the same type of life just like us, and has a question about her white balance. So Hannah, this one is for you. Okay, I won't call anybody else out. That's probably weird and I shouldn't do that. You can ask your questions and I will keep you anonymous from now on. Her question was, how do you utilize white balance? She said, I'm always on auto and it isn't always the best. Agreed. So I have a full page on this about white balance and just kind of what the examples look like when I'm shooting at a plain white board and what changes are made when you use those settings. So this area right here is just me using my camera shooting at a plain white board. So obviously the auto makes it white. The shade adds a little bit of orange to counteract the coolness of shade. The tungsten adds blue to counteract the warmness of tungsten. And then cloudy is the same, but it's kind of the same as shade, but it's a little milder. I will say, for me, I usually do stay on auto. I find that the cameras that I was shooting weddings on were pretty spot on, but I was also shooting in RAW, so it made it very easy for me to tweak my white balance in post-production in Lightroom when I was doing that. So to answer that question, I actually do use auto most often, and then I will use RAW and shoot in RAW instead of JPEG, so that I can easily change my white balance in Lightroom. It does it way easier than with JPEG. Like, just try shooting in RAW for one time and see how much easier it is to change all your settings. I could do a whole video on that alone, but I won't. But try that and see how that works for you. I recommend shooting in RAW anyways if you're going to be editing your pictures. But another thing I will say though is that there are times when auto just won't get it right. It doesn't work. I love using Kelvin. I do not talk about this in here, but you can search videos on this, and I'll try to link an article below. But Kelvin, using that for your white balance can be incredible too, because it is just numbers and you can very easily make very small changes to your white balance, going from making it look super orange to super blue and finding what works for that certain scene. Some cameras you can do this with live view on, so that it makes it much easier to actually see it and see the change as you change it back and forth, and not have to like shoot and then change it a little bit and shoot again. So look into Kelvin. And then also sometimes when I'm in a certain setting, like for example when I was using my vlogging camera to shoot this, auto made me look way paler than I am pale, but auto made me look way paler. So I used the fluorescent setting. So I just used the setting for the lighting that I'm in, and it really did work well. I could also do Kelvin on this camera, I'm pretty sure, to make smaller tweaks to it, say if I got it on that fluorescent setting and that just wasn't working for me either. So I hope that answers your question very quickly about white balance. I basically do use auto a lot, but there are certain instances where I don't, and I also use auto so much because I am shooting raw. That is what I'll say about that. The next question was one I kind of got from a few people, so I want to combine it. Just talking about blurry backgrounds, getting blurry backgrounds in your images. I do have a page about this. Let me find it. So I have a little area that talks about what makes up a photograph, and that what makes up a photograph are aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Those are the 3 things that you will be changing to make your photograph. Now, you will have to go through this and read that for yourself, because I can't even begin to dive into what I want to dive into without making this video super long. But basically, here is 2 more pages on aperture alone, and just talking about how your aperture matters. That number with the F beside of it, usually it matters, and you need to be aware of it to take and get blurry backgrounds in your picture. So for example, I have a little car here. This is shot at f1.4, and then you can see all the way over here, and this is shot at f11. So here you can barely see what's blurry, all these toys in the background, and then here you can see all the toys in focus. So that just gives you a good look into that. Also for blurry backgrounds, I don't know how much I talk about this, but what really matters as well is your focal length can play a part in that. So when you have a 35mm lens, it's sometimes way harder to get a blurry background depending on the placement of your subject and everything. But if you were shooting zoomed in at 200, sometimes you can still get a really good blurry background. So even if you don't have a lens that has a small aperture number, so 1.4, 2.8, even if you do not have that, you can still zoom all the way in, and especially if you're outdoors and have enough light, you can get a blurry background. All you have to do is make sure that you have your subject pulled away from your background and that you've super zoomed in using as much as you can. You can still get a blurry background that way. So it's not always just about that aperture number. There's a lot that goes into play for blurry background. So I'd encourage you to research that and not limit yourself to just saying, I need a camera with a 1.4, 2.8 aperture capability. Someone asked what kind of focusing I use, and if you're not super familiar with your camera, you may not know what I'm talking about, and that's okay. For me, I use back button focusing, which basically means that most of the time when you are shooting, your shutter button, when you pull that DSLR out of the box, your shutter button is also your focusing button. So you push it down a little bit, you focus, and then you push it down all the way to get the picture. I use back button focusing, which means there's a button on the back of my DSLR camera that I press instead of the shutter button to focus my picture over whatever point I've actually chosen myself, and then I press the shutter all the way down to take the picture. For me, this is just more efficient. I get better focused images this way. Not everybody does it this way, not every professional does it this way, but that is just what works for me. The big question that I get, and I'm going to try to keep this answer under 2 minutes. What kind of camera should I get? I cannot answer this one for you. You have to really decide on that yourself. I will say people see a DSLR camera and they think, I'm gonna get much better images by using that. Let me tell you, that's not how it works. Bigger camera does not automatically equal better photos. You can shoot absolutely horribly with a $5,000 camera, and you can shoot amazing shots with a $5 camera from the thrift store that has decades of dust on it. The person behind the camera is really what matters. Now, you know, obviously there are better lenses, there are better cameras, but you have to have that basic knowledge. And I think this does give you that basic knowledge. That is and was my goal with this, that you could walk away from this knowing more about your camera, being more knowledgeable, and knowing that when you kind of age out, not really age out, but grow out of your camera and use it to its fullest capabilities, grow out of your lenses, really master those things, then you can move on from that. And I think that's when you can move up to different cameras. But you could use a camera like I'm using to vlog right now, this little G7X. Pretty sure it has a manual mode. You could use that use all of this knowledge and apply it to a small point and shoot camera and then move up to a DSLR. And you could probably get better pictures on this with basic knowledge than somebody who just goes down to the store, picks up a DSLR and puts it on auto. And that's my hot take on that. Okay, the last question I got was about lighting, struggling with lighting. So I do just want to point that out in here. So there is a part in here. This is lighting, let your light shine. This is a little bit dated, and also look how old these pictures of Tristan are. So sweet. So there is a lot of talk about lighting in here. There's a lot of pages that reference it and give you some different examples. Basically though, oh, my legs are asleep. Oh God. Oh, pins and needles, pins and needles, pins and needles. Legs are like permanently asleep. I'm like just staying here again. Okay, for lighting, if I had to give you like one really basic kind of paragraph, I guess, to remember, it would be that on an overcast day, you're going to want to look for where the sun is, because the sun is still somewhere up in that sky. Even on an overcast day, it's just hidden by clouds. So you're going to want to look for where that sun is, and then always place your subject toward the sun. That helps so much. Lighting is the most important thing with photography. I probably haven't said that. I don't know if I say that in this book. I'm pretty sure I do, but lighting is the most important thing in photography. So it's very important that you get this part. And then for me, for the work that I do on sunny days, the sun is always resting behind my subject. I will try to do this at noon or around that time, put it behind my subject, and I will try to do this early in the morning or at sunset. So always looking to make sure that the sun is like in their hair, resting on them, kind of toward the side, or if it's an overcast day, it is facing them. Those are my really quick tips on lighting. Looking for even lighting, you know, not splotchy lighting from under the tree at lunchtime. Stay away from that if you want better pictures. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. The rest you're gonna find in this freebie. So all you have to do is follow that link below in the description and in the pinned comment, and I am so excited to give this to you. This is a lot of hard work, and it looks probably super cheesy. This isn't the fanciest thing in the world. I am not selling you a amazing photography workbook, but I am giving this as a gift for you around the holiday seasons, especially if you are picking up a DSLR for the first time or you're being gifted one. Whatever the case may be, I hope that this helps you so much. So thank you so much for watching this video. Again, remember, I'm going to be doing a monthly video starting in 2020. I can't believe it's almost 2020. Starting in 2020, I'll be doing a monthly video with photography tips and your questions. So ask those here and ask them on my Instagram. So thank you so much for watching. Click subscribe if you haven't already so you can watch those videos. And yeah, see you later.